to the heart of the stories. Maybe he had some deformity in his eardrums. That would be part of the moment.
How do you feel when you're on stage, when something's going well? Like, what's the feeling that you have when you're...
At the moment, I feel like I'm going slightly mad, right? Because recently I've started to make the separation between me, Stewart Lee the person, and Stewart Lee the comedian and what kind of character he is. And Stewart Lee the comedian would be sort of angry if a show was going well, because Stewart Lee the comedian is the sort of person that he wouldn't want to belong to a club that would have him as a member. And if a show was going well, he'd sort of think he'd done something wrong. And if a show was going badly, he'd think he'd done something right. Whereas personally, I know the opposite's true. So I don't really know what I feel like on stage, and sometimes I can't really tell anymore. And I don't know, I'm not trying to be pretentious, but I'm reaching a very strange point now where I don't really know where things are coming from when I say them. I don't know if it's me or this other person, this sort of character of a comedian who kind of resents the audience for liking him and almost admires them more if they don't. And it's getting to a quite problematic position. Having done my own show now for 3 months in a row, kind of 2 hours a night, it's becoming really disorientating, and I'm looking forward to stopping for a bit. After January I've got a few gigs, and then I won't do many more till August. I think it's partly about being on stage for such a long time and doing a sort of passive-aggressive confrontational act. It's getting really odd. I started to feel a bit schizophrenic, and I'd really like to stop for a bit now. If you're an E-list celebrity these days, you're approached by publishers who want you to do an E-list type book. And when I did Stewart Lee's comedy vehicle, the television series, there were people wanting me to do books about funny cars and whatever. You know, Stewart Lee's comedy vehicles. But I had this idea of I wanted to do a book where I took the transcripts of stand-up shows and annotated them as if they were literature, as if they were The Wasteland or Chaucer. And I wanted to do that with a publisher where they had a history of doing those kind of books for real, like Faber. And specifically with Faber, I thought of Faber's edition of Eliot's The Wasteland, which prints Ezra Pound's edit notes alongside it, and so it worked. I think it worked quite well as a conceit, you know. The other good thing about it was that it forced me to think about what it is I do and why do I do it, and all the little false, dishonest, manipulative, stylistic tricks that I use. So now I'm at least doing them consciously, and I think I'm on the way to shedding them and I have to do something else. You know, I think if you ruthlessly analyse what you do, there's a chance you become bored of it. And becoming bored of it is a good thing, because it means you move on. You move on, and you have to think of something else. And if you explain to the public what you've done, then they see how it works. And, you know, say it's a bit like poking yourself, forcing yourself to move on. But I mean, also, I didn't really realise till I came to write the book what an interesting 20 years it's been. Where we saw, when I started doing stand-up, it was happening in rooms above pubs in 1989, 88, and then in 1991 Newman and Baddiel played Wembley, and it seemed astonishing. And now all sorts of stand-ups are doing stadiums. 20 years ago, to use the word cunt, or to be apparently sexist, or to imply a degree of racism, or to pick on the disabled, all those things were taboo, unless you did them with a degree of self-awareness that suggested you were involved in a dialogue about taboo. 20 years later, they're acceptable. They may even be maybe a commercial decision to do them. You know, it's been absolutely fascinating. And I didn't realise until I came to write the introduction to the book, explaining how I got into stand-up, how the landscape from the mid-80s to today is totally different, and it's quite an interesting barometer for social change generally, I think. I'm not saying it's better or worse, but it's certainly different.